My name is Sarah Carmichael, and I have a somewhat simple question to ask you. How are you raised? We all kind of have simple answers to this question. We all have a parent or a guardian who spent time with us when we were little kids, teaching us how to do things. So we have similar values and traits that they taught us. In my Sociology 107 class, the Gender, Race, and Class course with Dr. Wise, we've been talking about the differences between working class and business class parents and how they raise their children. And really, I thought it was really cool to look at these different ways. You can compare them to your life and say, oh yeah, that's how I was raised. And really, there were two different ways that we looked at how children are raised, and that's concerted cultivation and accomplishment of natural growth. We're going to look at the concerted cultivation, and really it's made up of three characteristics. There's a key element, organization of daily life, and language use. But really, concerted cultivation doesn't make sense if you just look at the word. So a basic definition, if you go on Google and you just Google concerted cultivation, you just get a lot of blogs about parents who are on there talking about their kids and things like that. So there's really no solid education base. There's actually a concertedcultivation.com, which is just a simple web page that someone put up. It's got a definition on it and 4 bullet points is all it's made up of. But it defines concerted cultivation as a parenting style whereby parents actively foster and assess a child's talents, opinions, and skills. So that's a pretty good definition, but really we're going to look at the author of a book called Unequal Childhoods. Her name is Annette Lareau. And she really is the basis of all the information that you kind of get about concerted cultivation. This is a book that we looked at in my sociology class and really spent time looking into her research. She followed 88 children from different families, either working class or business class. And in her book, she focused really on 12 of those families, and her and her researchers went out with the families, spent time with them, rode in the car with them when they went someplace, really got to know these families and really got to know how the parents were raising the children. So the terms concerted cultivation and accomplishment of natural growth come from Lareau and her research. So this is kind of the general idea. The first characteristic is the key element, and it's really just the parent. Lareau said a parent who actively fosters and assesses a child's talents, opinions, and skills. This sounds a lot like the definition on the concerted cultivation website, and it really just basically is. But it's all about parent involvement. And when a parent is involved in a child's life, it gives the child a lot of structure, and that kind of structure kind of leads into the second characteristic, which is all about organization of daily life. You've got kids who are jam-packed into activities. You've got ballet, soccer practice, football practice. Kids are getting tutored, all these kind of activities. And the intention that the parents are thinking is that if we give these kids things to do, it's going to improve their skills and they're going to do better in the workplace. On the other hand, this can be a bad thing. In a New York Times article titled "Parents Try to Reclaim Their Children's Time," Professor William J. Doherty of University of Minnesota said, "We're losing our kids to overscheduled hyperactivity." And it's true. You see the decline in family dinners. People don't sit down and just have time, around a dinner table anymore. It's all about being in the car, going from one practice to another, going from school to work, things like that. But with this in mind, there's not a loss of communication between parent and child. With concerted cultivation, it's all about talking with the parent and the child. It's all about reasoning. And this is the third characteristic, is language use. Lareau stated it as being his reasoning and extended negotiations. So this example of this would be a parent comes to their child and says, your room is dirty, we're having guests over, I need you to clean your room. And so the child responds with, well, I'm playing my game, can I finish that, and then go clean my room. There's a negotiation and a communication back and forth. And that's really what concerted cultivation looks like. To better explain that, look at the other side is directives. So it would be the parent going to the child and saying, go clean your room. And there's no communication back and forth. In another New York Times article, it says what it takes to make a student it talks about Rhodes' work and the different advantages for concerted cultivation. And it says, children become used to adults taking their concerns seriously, and so they grow up with a sense of entitlement, which gives them a confidence in the classroom and elsewhere. So this is more of, we're giving the kids skills so that they can go to the workforce and do better and excel there. So this is the last of the characteristics. In my sociology class, we talked a lot about concerted cultivation and also accomplishment of natural growth. And Dr. Wise really kind of just summed up concerted cultivation by saying it was active child-rearing approach, a coordinated daily life, and reasoning when talking with one another between the parent and the child. And so really it's just the three basic characteristics that make up concerted cultivation. You've got the key element, which is the active parent, the organization of the daily life, the activities, the structured life, and then the language use, which is the reasoning, the communication between the child and the parent. So that's basically what concerted cultivation is. So if you think back to the question I started with of how are you raised, do you see connections with how you were raised, or do you see how it was the opposite? If it was the opposite, then it's more of an accomplishment of natural growth, but just something to think about.